Go.
UTG. Franco says, "Hey, we got seats in the front row." How was everybody tonight? Danny Boyd says fourth. I think you're third, Danny Boyd.
Franco, do you remember Bernie the cop from Englishtown? He's talking about front row seats.
Joe K says, "Hey."
What's happening, Joe K? So, when I was a kid, Englishtown, they had the station lanes, obviously, behind the burnout area, like every other drag strip. And there was a chain. And you couldn't cross the chain. They'd move the chain, they'd let the car run out. So when I was a kid, I used to go right up to the chain. I used to hang out in the staging lanes. I could care less about being in the stands. I wanted to be in the staging lanes. And as soon as they would, unhook the chain to let a car through, I'd kind of like sneak around as much as I could to get, like behind the burnout area. And if there was enough people, like if they were running funny cars or whatever, there'd be enough people back there that you could kind of just blend in. But Bernie the cop, who was he was a cop, Bernie. So he had my number, and what he would do is he would let me be out there for as long as they were running the cars, but then he would grab me by the side of my head like this and drag me back to the station lanes.
Why? What were you doing? He would grab you by your head?
He would grab me by my ear or my hair and pull me back to the station lanes.
Is that legal? I guess it was back then.
He let me stay out there.
Yeah.
He knew how much I loved the stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was there all the time. I was always there. He knew how much I loved it, so I guess he let me get away with it for a while, and then just so you know, you're not supposed to be out there. He pulled me back.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
No, when I grew up, Bernie was just the greatest guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he remember you?
Yeah.
He did? What's up, Terrence Seymour?
Terrence, what's happening, man?
Uncle Moose, Jerry Franks, Dakota's Timeout, Ford LTD 1976, Paul Capazola, Mint and Made Muscle, Mountains Garage.
So hanging out at the shop tonight.
Yes.
So let's do shop things?
What do you want to do?
I don't even know.
Why don't you work on something? Because, you don't work on anything.
I don't ever work on anything. What happens is I go home at night and then the crew comes in.
Right.
And it does all of the stuff, and then I come back.
Franco says, Tony, I can remember Bernie chasing Frank Manzo because he was underage at the time.
Yeah, we were about the same age.
Funny.
We were about the same age.
Pirate Greg says, hello, everybody.
What's happening, man?
Music Life says, hello, Tony from Eastern North Carolina. Love your videos.
Thank you.
Uncle No Identity says, hi, guys.
What's happening, man?
Mountains Garage. Englishtown was so humid in the summer.
Oh, please.
Just a little bit. We almost died.
That one year, remember at the Summer Nationals?
Oh, brutal.
It was 100 and something degrees every day in the Summer
It
Nationals.
was brutal.
We bought cups of ice, and we're inhaling inhaling the ice. You remember that?
Yeah, and we went to the hose that day.
The water hose, yeah.
Yeah, because it was just too much. Everybody was at the water hose.
Yeah.
Let's see. P. Kovacs, my driver's ed instructor smacked me in the back of the head when I drove into an S-curve kind of hot and the tires complained a little. Laugh out loud. Let's see. Paul Capazola, did you watch the CAS intake video? Kaase? Is that correct?
Oh, Kaze.
Kaze, sorry, mispronounced.
Yes, I did. And it shows pretty much the same thing that the Australian one does.
Let's see. What was the outcome of the green satellite torque light rebuild?
Josh took the car. I don't know if he drove it but he's got it for sale. It's on Facebook Marketplace right now.
What's up, Zero? Zero says hello, Boston.
What's happening, man? But yeah, it was all finished. It was done. We went for a road test. He was supposed to have the exhaust finished, because we swapped over from the headers to exhaust manifolds. And he was supposed to have the manifolds tied to the rest of the exhaust, and then I never heard from him again. But it's on Facebook Marketplace now, and it's listed as needing to have
Yeah. I guess
the
he gave
exhaust
up.
finished. He just probably reached the end of the line and was
Right.
like, okay, I'm
I'm
done.
done. Let's see. Robert D. Hey, Tony, I bought a set of comp cam lifters for my 440, and the box still had a return label on it from the last person that
Oh,
refunded them.
jeez.
One of the lifters was seized. What brand lifters would you, I guess, would
You
you
believe
get?
that?
That's pretty crazy.
But that's typical. That's the kind of stuff that's been going on lately.
That's horrible, actually.
That's the state of the industry as it is right now. Who do I recommend? I don't recommend anybody. Find NOS lifters. Find NOS lifters. Back when I was dealing in parts, I had bought and sold a load of camshafts or camming kits, and they each came with lifters.
I remember that.
Remember those?
Yeah, you got a boatload of them.
Sold like 100 of them.
Yeah, you should have kept them.
Well, yeah, I kept the lifters out of a bunch of them.
Okay.
Some of them I sold as just because they were all cam and lifter sets. But some of
remember
them,
that.
I took the lifters and I sold them just as cams. So at the house, I still have it. I've used them. Oh God, I got them in. I have them in like 4 of our cars right now. So I got maybe like 30 of them left.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if you could do that, if you could find lifters like that, like it's to the point that I covet them so much that I try not to use them.
That's why we don't start the cars. Is that what it is?
Right.
Right. If we don't start it, the lifters will stay good.
Right. No, seriously, I covet those old lifters so much that if like I'm doing a couple of engines now, I'm buying new old lifters rather than use the ones that I've got because I'm afraid that when there's just not going to be any available, I'm going to be like, oh, I need lifters, so I won't use them. I have them. They're like in the bank, like gold. You know what I mean?
Doug's Maintenance Shop says, hey, Uncle Tony and Ultra Kathy. Oh, thank you. He says, I'm editing content for my channel while watching tonight. Finally
Nice.
getting back into the swing of things on my channel. Awesome. Awesome. Build a vanishing point challenger fella.
No, I'm trying to cut down on that. I really don't feel like doing any e-body stuff.
No. John Morgetson says, so many live shows on Sunday. Hard choice, but rather see UT than many others. Thanks again
Thank
for
you.
the
Who else is
in-depth
live on
engine
Sunday?
rebuild series. I don't know. We're on here, so we don't look.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we could take them though.
Oh, boy. This is what gets you in trouble. This is why nobody will talk to you.
Find
Because you're
out
like, I can take
find out
them.
who's doing a live.
I can take them. And then they're like,
I'll
I'm
fight
not
them.
talking to him. I'll fight them. Everyone takes everything so seriously. Thou shalt not covet my lifters, Chris Rolfe says.
No, bro, I'm telling you, I won't touch them. I won't touch them.
Let's see. You won't touch them.
No, who knows? 3, 4, 5, 8 years from now, I want to build an engine. I can't find any lifters at all. I've got my
You
lifter
don't think there
stash.
will be any lifters in 3, 5,
There's like no
8
lifters
years?
now.
Oh, I don't know. Well, there are some. They're just not
Yeah, but
good.
they all turn to they're made out of like mashed potatoes. They're terrible. I don't want to deal with that, so I have my lifter stash ready for the apocalypse.
Toast is making fun of me. This is what gets you in trouble. I think you said it once before that you were going to take everyone or something like that. You're going to fight everybody or you could take them.
Somebody asked me once what I thought of Ice Cook Garage.
Right, and there was a big hullabaloo.
Oh please! They says this is early on. This is like we were
when
only
we first started.
and they had first he had first started too.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "What do you think of Ice Cook Garage?" And I just said, "I think I could take him." and like somebody in the comments, somebody on the line.
They went to him and said that you were talking about him. And
Well, no, even before that,
Yeah.
people were like, "You would fight him? Why would you fight him? He seems like such a nice guy." And it's like, "Yeah, he seems like a nice guy, but he seems pretty big. I could take him. I think I could take him."
oh my goodness.
Please. That started a whole thing,
A big rigmarole.
a big rigmarole, because nobody can understand sarcasm or humor.
Right, that's why I said this is how you get in trouble.
Right.
Let's see. Considering a 1948 Ford sedan for my next project car, any thoughts?
That's a pretty cool car. I mean, it's a little potato shaped. But no, they're nice. I like those.
Pirate Greg says, I remember that. Laugh out loud. Do you remember that?
It was a whole hullabaloo.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if you haven't been with us the whole time, you don't know.
Yeah.
And me saying,
And then
this is how
somebody
you
had-
get in trouble. Like, people are like, oh, why is she saying that?
Yeah, and Scotty Kilmer was the other one, and I says, I know
Right,
I
yeah.
can take Scotty. He'll go down like a wet towel.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, please. And people are like,
Forget it.
he's threatening Scotty Kilmer.
I'm unsubscribing from you.
Oh, please.
Oh, my goodness. Good evening, Caleb Parker. Andrew Forster says, hello, UTG from Canada.
What's happening, man? Speaking of Canada, I've been working on the DD Speed Shop 55 Chevy. We'll show you that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zero says, who knew them Canada persons didn't get the humor?
It wasn't all just Canadians. It was like everybody.
It wasn't everybody. Franco 2K says, if the Indian was still around, he'd make a jig to recrown news lifters. James Taylor says, roll up your windows. Now, James has been with
James
us
been
for a
around
long time.
Roll up your
We
windows.
appreciate you, James. Let's see. Mike Brunella says, I love the yellow engine.
Isn't that pretty? I love that. I got it all. It's all. The only thing I've got to do. I don't have I don't have the oil pan on it yet. I had to make a pickup for it because it's got a weird oil pan. It's the 1970 73.
Do I need to move over there? Because
Not
I can.
necessarily.
Okay.
It's like the 1973, 74 B-body, like the police pan. So it's got baffling all around it, and it uses a weird pickup. It's like an S-shaped pickup. So I found one online. It was like $60 new, and I was like, okay, I'll bite the bullet and I'll order it. Not available. So I said, ah, screw it. So I made one. I took a slant six.
I guess I'm moving. No?
No,
Oh, okay.
I took a slant six pickup like this, and I put all of the bends in it.
You did a
So now
nice
it-
job.
Yeah, so now it contours into that weird oil pan.
Very nice.
So now I just gotta clean and paint that and stick it on there. And I don't have a timing cover gasket. I don't know how I don't have a timing cover gasket, but the timing
That's
cover isn't bolted on yet. But everything else is good to go. I put a nitrous system on it yesterday.
Do you want to show it? Do I need to move?
You can show it if
Okay,
you
well,
want. If everybody
you-
wants to see the
Yeah,
damn
get
thing.
up. Get up. It's like
Okay, I'll
show
get
and
up.
tell in kindergarten.
Show and tell.
Okay. So
Okay.
what'd you do?
What did I do? Well, I put a small shot on it
Okay.
and painted it yellow.
It's pretty.
I got all the wires and everything all set up. So this way, when I put it in the car, I just gotta plug everything back on it. And I don't have a timing cover gasket, so I gotta put a timing cover gasket on it. And then
Why
the water pump
is
housing.
it yellow?
Because it's pretty.
Okay. Because it's pretty Mexican spec.
Yeah.
Which doctor says longtime GM LS millennial, but Mopar admirer. Strictly thanks to you. Awesome paintless dent removal video.
Yeah,
That was
Ron was
good,
here
wasn't it?
last night. We're definitely gonna do more. We just gotta find the right car to do it with. He's gonna finish out the dent on Bottle Rocket. And I says, that's already been done. He says, let's do something from scratch, and we'll do a whole, like a detailed how-to with it.
Okay.
So the next one is gonna be white.
White.
I have always wanted to paint a white engine. Yeah, this is the first one that's gonna go in the Belvedere.
Interesting.
So this is that 361 that had that we welded up the freeze plugs on, the freeze cracks.
Uh-huh.
So this is that engine, and it's all back together again now. So she's good to go. And then I'm gonna do an RV motor, like a 440, and I'm gonna paint that one white. I've always wanted a white engine, so now I'm
Nice.
gonna do a white engine.
That's interesting.
Why are you looking at me like that?
It's my job.
Oh, okay, let's go sit down.
Okay. That's Tweety Bird yellow.
It's taxi cab yellow. Hint.
Yeah. Yellow, white, and then magenta. Mopar Gent says.
Gold.
Gold.
Yeah. The next one's gonna be white, and then I want to build a white 440. And then
What are you gonna put that in?
these are all of the engines that are gonna go into the Belvedere.
Oh, the 440 is gonna go in the Belvedere too?
Yeah, 440 is gonna go in the Belvedere. I'm
So
building.
everything in the Belvedere gets a different color? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
A unique color? Is
Right.
that what's happening?
So this way, at a glance, people will know which engine it is
Oh, that's
and what
very
its
smart
thing
of
is.
you.
Yeah. But there's other things we're doing with the car, because I
See,
was
now
inspired.
somebody's gonna do a white engine tomorrow. There'll be a video up.
There might be. No, I think it'll be, I've never seen anybody do a white engine. I think it'll be beautiful.
Okay.
White with chrome everywhere.
Let's see. You got a question? QMRK. Hi Tony, I have a Pontiac V8 that had a cam bearing delaminate. The engine had never been taken apart before. I stripped it down. Should I get it magnafluxed and hot tanked as well as bearings?
Well, when you say delaminate, because bearings aren't laminated, so I assume you mean it was just, like worn. Uh, I would be really careful with that. I would bring that to a machine shop. Bring that to a machine shop. Somebody who's familiar with that type of engine, older V8s. Because if you've got one cam bearing that delaminate, or you say delaminated, but what do you mean is showing excessive wear? It could mean that the block is either shifted like this, or the circle has shifted a little bit. And what happens is, as you're driving the car, like it happens gradually over the course of thousands of miles, and it'll just go, the movement will happen so gradually that it won't damage, in other words, it won't lock up or anything like that. But eventually, you'll get where you are. Now, what happens is you go and you put a new bearing in that hole, and it's not round, so it'll grab the cam, and the cam will try to spin it. So bring that to somebody who
Oh,
really
he's
knows
saying
what they're doing.
clarification. The bearing cracked and started to flake.
Cracked.
Yeah.
And started to flick. Yeah, you got problems in the block.
Okay.
You got problems in the block.
Andrew Forster says, I have a 1968 Ford 302.
Wait, stop.
Okay, I have to stop.
Camshaft, Pontiac camshaft guy. Check the cam and make sure the cam's not bent, because that happens too. Make sure that the cam is exactly true before you do anything else with the block, because if the cam took on a bend over time, it'll do that same thing. So,
Okay, Andrew Forster says,
Yeah.
I have a 1968 Ford 302 that has orange valve springs. Have you ever seen that before?
I've seen them in all different colors. I've seen them all. The aftermarket would color code certain valve springs, because just to be able to tell them apart as they're packaging them, they'll put a stripe on them, or they'll all be a certain color or whatever. So, yeah, I've seen all different variations of colors on valve springs.
John Bishop, have ever done a split exhaust manifold on a straight six. My dad in the 50s did it to make the exhaust louder.
There's, like, on ours over here, we have a 3-into-2 set of headers.
This one?
Yeah. That's basically the same as a split manifold. It's 3-into-2. I mean, you can. They sell like there's this thing called Dutra duals, where they take stock exhaust manifolds and they cut them in half, and they configure them so you can have 3-into-1, manifolds. Honestly, for a street engine, you're much, much, much better off with just a big diameter single. Put the biggest diameter single you can put on the existing exhaust manifold.
Let's see. QMRK says, okay, thank you. That is good to know. Uncle Moose, I paint my engine pink. I blame the moose.
Moose or squirrel. Yeah, pink would be okay, but I'm telling you, I've just always wanted a white engine.
Okay, that sounds nice.
It's just something I've never gotten around to doing. But, now we have the opportunity.
But McIntyre says, happy live stream, Tony and crew.
Thank you.
Let's see. What do you think about the Black Ghost going up for auction in May at Meekum?
I mean, I saw the car in Carlisle. I guess it was, about 3 years ago? 2, 3 years ago? 4 years ago? 3, I don't know, whatever it was. I saw the car there. It's a little roachy, but it has a great story. I don't know. I think it'll bring some money because it has a story.
Rick, yes. Hi, UT. With a 4-speed slant 6 A-body, I can't even spin bias ply tires from standing still. Am I too soft on the gas, or what does the slant need keeping stock looks? 323 gears and timing at 15 initial.
15 initial, so you're at like 35 total. Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, the motor could just be pooched. It could just be all wore out. It's just not making any power. I don't know. Don't
Could he
know.
be too soft on the gas?
Yes, you could be too soft on the gas, and you may not be. You may be too soft on the clutch, or I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's just so many different possibilities with that. I wish I could give you a straight answer, but I can't. Do a compression test on it. See what kind of motor you're dealing with. You may have something that's starting like it's got like 80 pounds of compression, and it's not gonna spin the tires.
Okay. Let's see. It's cold outside. It is Mopar Park. It's not too bad here.
That's beautiful in here.
Depends on where you live.
It stays nice in the shop, even when it's, and I don't have heat in here. I have heat in that part of the shop where
Yeah.
the offices and everything are. But this part of the shop, I have heat. I've never turned it on. And it never really gets cold in here. I think next door is a mattress place. And I think they keep the heat on a lot and it just radiates its way through the building.
You think so?
I think so.
672E Galaxy says sidestep that clutch. Mopar Polar says we are freezing in Oklahoma. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, man.
Teens here in Illinois tonight. Joe Brennan wants to know what makes Tennessee so attractive. It's okay. It's nice.
Everything.
It's nice.
Everything. You can't ask me about Tennessee. I am so in love with
Tony
this
loves
place.
Tennessee.
Yeah, been here for 20 years, and it has not gotten old. It hasn't gotten routine. Every day I wake up and I'm grateful to be in Tennessee.
I like it. It is nice. It's very pretty. I wish we had more water. Like, I mean, we have water.
leaks
Like,
everywhere.
well, not close to the house, like a beach house or something.
Oh. You wish we had an ocean.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
ocean. Close to the ocean. Let's see. Uncle Squirrel, Tennessee River guys. We have a little river that runs through the city. It's really nice.
The Stones River.
Yeah, it's not too big, but it's nice. Tennessee is automotive YouTube central.
It certainly is.
Seems that way. We were here first, right?
We
we were here first.
We were here first. Whistle and Diesel is 15 miles from here, and Vice Grip is 40 miles from here. And then who else is?
I don't know.
Well, those are like you're two big, huge automotive YouTubers.
Yeah,
There-
we're
but
not
there's
even YouTubers compared
Yeah,
to
we're
them.
not even YouTubers compared to them. But there are a bunch of smaller channels here too.
Let's see. Zero says, while visiting Texas, my dad asked me if I liked it. I said, seemed like the air here has passed a lot of stuff before it got to my face.
You must have been right off the Gulf, right?
I don't know. I like the ocean. Somewhat Fast says, hey Tony, I just picked up a wrecked 1995 Ram with a 5.2318 for $150. You're rolling a cigarette. You didn't warn me.
That's not bad. I was licking a cigarette. I wasn't rolling it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am swapping into my 1955 Plymouth wagon. I order a Chinese 4-barrel intake and a $50 HEI distributor. Truck has a 46 RH. Tips?
Well, cancel the order on that HEI distributor because that will leave you stranded. Those cheap Chinese HEIs are no good. Just put a regular Chrysler electronic in it and call it a day. But yeah, don't mess with that. No, I mean the intake manifold you won't have any problems with. No, I don't. For a driver, you're off to a good start.
Rabbit B says, how is the car culture in Tennessee? Here in Reno, Nevada, we have everything from import groups to classic cruises. Of course, hot August nights too.
Here's the thing, right? Because that is something that's lacking in this area. We have a lot of car people, like a super huge abundance of car people, but no real car events, right? You would think that and I'm telling you, there's like They're everywhere. Car people are everywhere here. But there's nothing really organized, nothing really, where you can say, oh, okay, every week this happens, or once a month that happens, or once a year the other thing happens. There's really
It's not
nothing
very
like that.
lively.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's something that's missing. And we don't have like there's no like street race scene here. There's no. It's weird. It's weird. We're in a bit of a void as far as that goes, and I don't know why. And believe me, I think about it all the time. Like, why? How is this that we don't have these massive get-togethers like they do in other places? We could easily do like, they have the Woodward Dream Cruise. We could easily do something like that here in Nashville, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We had they do cars and coffee now over at the Nashville Speedway, the Super Speedway, which is about 20 miles east of us right now, and it was packed. There were thousands of cars there. I mean, like the entire parking lot, the whole area was just packed with cars. But they go there for the event and then they go home. So and I don't know why that is.
It's kind of weird.
It's weird. It's weird.
Okay, Uncle Moose sent you 10 sec.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't see a question though from Uncle Moose. Hang on, I'll look.
He just wanted to send the sec.
Thank you, Uncle Moose.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. If you have a question, I'll try and find it, but I didn't see it with that. I'm
Do
looking
you like
for
my
it now.
oil strainer?
It's very nice.
I got pretty artistic with that. I mean, it's just about perfect.
No, why didn't you film that?
Because I was here, it was late at night, not late at night, it was like 9 o'clock. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to make me an oil strainer.
Okay.
And so, because I'd gone online and said, okay, I got to get an oil strainer, and couldn't get one. So I was like, I am going to make me an oil strainer. And I didn't have a camera, and, I wanted to just do it. So I did.
If you had the camera, you wouldn't have put it on anyway.
No, because I would have been too busy
Right.
heating this thing up and making this little bend and then trying it in and heating it up and making a little bend and
It's very nice.
I'm proud of that. I mean, it's the perfect. It's just because it has to clear the baffle that's right here, and then come down and so it's like.
You did a really nice job. Okay, let's see. Let me catch up. You didn't film it. He never does.
No,
What's your ultimate dream car? Do you have one?
that question comes up every
A
time.
lot, yeah. I know.
I really don't have one. I honestly don't have
You
one.
don't have one. What's your favorite memory with each other? Samantha wants to know. Do you have a favorite memory? So many.
Huh.
There's a lot of memories, Samantha.
Favorite memory with you? Well, when you 2 times.
Oh no.
The one.
I'm afraid. What are you going to say?
The one time we had you in the car for the warm-up, and it caught fire,
Yeah,
the look on your face.
that's a favorite memory.
When he says, hey, it's on fire.
Oh.
Because you couldn't see the flames. It was like a very bright, sunny day.
Yeah.
And she climbed out of the car like that. And then at one time that you were backing me up with the fuel altered.
Yeah.
And so we were, I don't know, English 10 or Echo, I don't even know. We were running my fuel altered. And I did the burnout, and she comes out to back me up. And she's like giving me directions with one hand, and she's like holding her mouth with the other because she was going to throw up.
No, I wasn't going to throw up. I
You
couldn't
said
breathe.
you were going to puke.
No.
No,
Couldn't breathe.
couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Why?
The fumes.
It wasn't that rich.
No?
No.
Oh. No, I wasn't going to throw up.
Oh, okay.
No.
I just picture you cracking me up like
I'm
this.
sorry. No, I wasn't going to throw up. Silly. My favorite memory of you. I don't know. There's so many. Oh my goodness.
I'm very memorable.
You're very memorable. Oh. Tony, there's too many. I can't even.
Like when I made this.
When you made that?
Is that your favorite memory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. The one time when we're driving regular, and you used to like swing the car sideways, and oncoming traffic would like be headed towards my door. And like I remember like a woman like,
I didn't swing the car
yes, you
sideways.
did. Yes, you did. You would turn the corner and the car would swing sideways. This is what you would do all the time. But there's one time you did it, like we were sideways onto incoming traffic. And I look out my side window and this woman is like horrified, grabbing the steering wheel,
We were
screaming.
teenagers.
Right. I know we were. But that was one memory of you that I have. And I just looked at you like, this is regular life, right? This is what we do.
Do you remember that time? We were kids. And I don't even remember what car it was. But I had Rocco and Adriana were in the back seat, and we were going down Richmond Avenue. And it was like, everybody was like really quiet and stuff, so I did a bootleg U-turn at like 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. That was regular life. I don't know how we're not dead, honestly. And then that other time, you had an accident. Remember when we were like halfway hanging out the gas station, the Getty station? Because you did something. And you're like, okay, we're going to get hit, but get down. Remember the oncoming traffic? Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, it's all a blur.
And I remember the time we were running from the cops,
Which one
Fountain
was that?
Avenue,
Okay.
and we hit that drop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How fast are we going?
Too fast.
You have to explain what that drop was. What was the name of
I
that
had-
street?
That was, what was the name of that street? So, here's what happened. We would race at Fountain Avenue, and every night, this was just a routine, the cops would come and they would send like 3 cop cars, and whoever the 3 cop cars would get, they'd pick one each and they'd paper them up. And then everybody else just scattered. So we used to all go to the TSS parking lot on Linden Boulevard. And there was a back road that went to that parking lot. And any of you
Yeah, the
guys who remember
escape back
Fountain
road,
Avenue,
yeah.
any of you guys who remember Fountain Avenue, you know what I'm talking about, right? So there was this back road, and then the road goes like this, and then it goes like this, and then it goes like this.
Like straight down.
Okay? See, it's almost straight down. Like if you're going anything more than, let's say, 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, you get light going down this thing, right? Well, we were in, what was it, a GTX?
Yeah, something
We
like
were in
that.
something, I don't remember.
Either that or the coronet.
Yeah, and I was the target of the cop that night. So this guy was on my ass. And I was
We
like,
ran.
yeah, right. I was like, nope, you ain't catching me, man. So I headed down this street and I flat-footed it, and went like we soared. We soared off the end of the thing and landed on the up part of it, and we just about got thrown through the floor of the car. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like I think we dented the floor of the car with our feet. How hard we hit that. The cop must have been laughing his ass off because there had to be a shower of sparks and everything, but he just stopped at that point. He stopped. And we went on to TSS and hung out and waited till they left.
Uncle Moose sent you another 100 sec.
Whoa, that's a lot of suck.
He says, love your channel and your humor. Laugh out loud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Moose.
I never had so much suck.
The Dukes of Flatbush.
Oh, please, you had to be
Oh,
there.
hilarious.
Fountain Avenue was a really hard place. There were a bunch of hard places to race, but Fountain Avenue was the worst because it was like full of pitfalls. You know what I mean? It was always like doom was always right there. And the worst was at about 1,000 or 1,100 feet. There was a dip. Okay, just like the one I'm talking about on that back road was like severe, but on Fountain Avenue at about 1,000, 1,100 feet, there was a dip. So the road was flat, wide enough, straight, dead straight, but then you got to that point, and then it went like this. Okay, so all of your races at Fountain Avenue, you would race until there was a clear winner. So you'd leave the starting line, and you probably go out 400 feet, 500 feet. And you judge, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you're ahead at that point, you let off, and the car behind you lets off, and it's good. Then you go back and you race. But if it's tight, if it's a close race, you just stay on it. And if it's a really close race, you flat foot it right through that dip. And there was one time I had a magazine test car. It was a Z28. It was a 355. It wasn't even in production. It was a 355 speed Z28 that we had scored, and I was blacklisted at the time too. I couldn't get test cars. Wasn't supposed to get test cars, so I had somebody sneak it out for me. And I ran that thing out on Fountain Avenue, and it was this really tight race. I mean, we were just like, I'm looking at the other car, and it's right there, and neither of us was going to let go. And then I realized, just at the very last minute, here comes the dip, you know. And I looked over at the car, and I looked, and there's the dip, and I hit my head on the roof so hard that I compressed like a vertebrae or something in my neck, and I walked around like this for like 2 weeks.
It's bad, Tony.
Oh, please. I don't know how we lived there.
I mean, we did okay.
No, I mean, I don't know how
Nice.
we exist, how we lived. I mean, not how we existed, but
Oh.
how we didn't get killed.
Oh yeah, no, we should. I don't know how we're not dead.
That one time
honestly.
I raced, I was racing one of the Peabody mopars we had. It may have been a 72 Roadrunner, racing at Red Hook on the pier.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I was there. There's no finish. There's no space to race.
No,
It's just.
it's nothing.
I was like, what are you doing? Okay, this is good. Let's go.
Well, I wanted to race so bad that night, and all of the regular spots were dead. I drove all over New York City looking for
remember,
action. I
yeah.
couldn't find any action anywhere. So I ran into somebody and he says, well, they're racing over on Red Hook. So I says, all right, well, I'll go there. Now, Red Hook only raced imports. This is back in the 1980s. And I was like, I don't care, I'll go race imports. So I went down there and I realized why they only race imports. Because the road was this fucking wide. You
Just
couldn't-
wants to know if you won. Did you win though?
Oh, I don't remember.
What do they say? Like your brain isn't fully developed until you're like what, 25?
Something like that.
Something like that. And
Something
you make
like that.
really bad decisions.
I made a lot of really weird, bad decisions.
Like really,
But they make for great stories.
right? But if I saw like our kids acting like that, I
Oh,
would have a
please.
hemorrhage.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Oh, no, I couldn't. I couldn't.
We're like, no, we're good.
Oh, if you ever wonder why I'm so mellow these days, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's because I did all this. It's like I got all the aggression and craziness out of my system, and I'm just like, You know what I mean?
Just relax. It's too funny. Let's see. Matt S. says, back in the day, my dad was in his 70 Charlie getting chased by a big Pontiac sheriff. Outran him. Then he stopped and saw a buddy of his in a GTO getting chased by a Chrysler New Yorker trooper.
There were many chases.
Thank God for the statute of limitations. Yeah, it's good. I guess I shouldn't start stories like, remember when we were getting chased by the cops?
You started it.
Right, I know. Okay, but I was underage.
Yes, you were.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even like,
They would have got me for like, all kinds of things, because you were underage.
I was underage. They would have sent me to juvie.
They would have sent me to prison.
They'd send you to prison. I would have gone to juvie. Let's see. Nutty for a cutty. 4 of my buddies and myself took a 1974 Oldsmobile 98 four-door Airborne once. The car didn't run after that. He's laughing.
Do you remember that Buick Wildcat? I crashed. I bought a Buick Wildcat. I think I paid like $80 for it. It was just some. This is when I had the gas station. We had the gas station on Castleton Avenue. So I bought this Buick Wildcat with one of my customers, 455, and I don't remember the exact circumstance, but she lived about 3 miles, 4 miles. No. Yeah, you lived about 3 or 4 miles from the shop.
From
From
the gas
Castleton,
station.
yeah, from the gas station.
Yeah.
So I bought the car, and I
This
decided
is before we were married?
I decided that I was going to take it home
Okay. To your house.
to my house,
Okay.
and I think I had Louis Scum with me,
Okay.
and we went down this road where there was like a log across like most of the road, and I told Louis I was going to jump it.
remember this. I must not have been with you, but
You weren't with me. I was on my way
why
to
was I
pick
not
you up.
with you? Oh, okay, because I was always with you.
The car lasted 2 miles from the time I bought it to the time I totaled it. It was 2 miles.
That's probably why I don't remember it.
There, there must have been a storm or something. I don't remember exactly why, but there was like a log across the road.
And you're gonna jump it.
And like we pulled up to it, like, and Louis like, well, let's go back. And I said, no, I'm gonna get over that thing. So I backed up, threw it in low, flat-footed it, drove into it, and it just stopped. It just stopped. The nose of the car went like this, and I walked away from it.
What's amazing is that all of these decisions were made while completely sober.
Completely sober. Completely sober.
You were straight edge at the time.
It was crazy.
Hemihead 68 sent $4.99.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hemihead. This is not legal advice, no. That's funny, Tony. I remember that.
Car never made it home. How many cars did we own back then?
Too many.
How many?
But
Give
like,
people an
what we
idea how
would
many
do,
cars we're talking about.
what we would do is we would do work in the day, whatever work you had to do, right?
Right.
And then our plan was to go race
Right.
at night
Right.
or go buy a car.
Yeah, it was either racing or buying cars.
Probably both in the same day.
Many times.
Like every day.
Many times.
And sometimes we'd have a car for like 3 days, right?
If that.
And we would go out and we would do stuff with that, and then we would get rid of it, and then we would find another one. But that's all we did every day.
Hundreds of cars. Hundreds of cars.
Let's see. If there were dash cams back then, I'm glad there weren't dash cams.
It's a shame, though. We would have had some really interesting footage.
But we would have been too self-conscious.
I wouldn't have given a shit.
You wouldn't have cared?
Nah.
You wouldn't have cared? I think it was a different time because
Look at me
nobody's...
do YouTube. I mean, I'm sitting here
I
in front
understand.
of all these people. Why would I have cared?
But like, we didn't have the concern of a camera. Do you know what I mean? There's no concern of anybody having cameras.
Well, we weren't trying
like
to put on a
everybody-
show for
Right,
anything.
exactly.
We
We're
were
just having
living
fun.
life, right.
And I think that once there's cameras everywhere, even if you're not doing that, you're still cognizant of it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the honest fun that we had.
No. I don't think you can have honest fun like that anymore, to be honest.
No.
Because
No,
everything
not,
is...
Not like this, no.
You can't be like, oh, we just ran from the cops.
There was much running from cops back in the day.
The older you get, the less you care.
That's true. That's true. Although I never really
didn't care then.
No.
Yeah. The Screamin' Seaman says, Uncle Tony, need help, please.
Yes.
1994 F-150 5.0 won't start when cold. It started to delay to start sometimes, but would start. Now it seems like there's low fuel pressure.
Low fuel pressure could be it. I mean, check the fuel pressure, obviously. Coolant temp sensor. I mean, did you check the coolant temp sensor? Because that'll do it every time.
There's a video on YouTube of some guys jumping a late 70s Olds Buick tank on a 2-lane road at a high rate of speed. Is that you?
No.
No. There was no video then. There was like silent films.
Yeah, it was all black and white. Everything was black and white.
Who had a
back then.
video camera? Nobody.
Nobody.
We just got a VCR. They were like $800 to get a VCR.
Do you remember that? It
Yeah.
was $400.
Was it?
I remember buying it because it was like, oh my God.
I think when they came out, they were 8, and then they went down to 4
Yeah.
when they became affordable for the average person. Yeah, that was a big investment. Let's see.
Do you remember why I bought the VCR?
Why did you buy the VCR?
So I could watch American Nitro.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, because one of my friends had a VCR and he had a copy of American Nitro, and I needed to have a VCR so I could watch American
I
Nitro.
could do without that movie.
And I watched it. I watched it over and
Yeah,
over
no,
and over
I
and
don't
over
care
and
to
over
ever
and
see that
over and
again.
over and over and over again.
Bigfoot Moore says, thanks for putting a funny video in the mix once in a while. I have a prosthetic arm from the elbow up. That's some highbrow stuff right there. Cover it up. Chuck U. Farley says, if I did such things, I stayed out of jail by keeping my freaking mouth shut. Most people talk themselves into jail.
Well, you see, I didn't ever really keep myself out of jail. That goes with it too. Many times. I have worn the bracelets so many times.
Just for driving.
Yeah,
Just
I've
'cause
never-
your license was no good.
Yeah, I have
Nothing other than that.
I have never in my life committed any sort of crime or infraction that I would be embarrassed of.
Yeah,
So it's
other
like-
than driving.
Yeah, right. So it's like, it's not like I never stole from anybody. I never
You
did
know,
anything
I
like
have a copy of your license, your first one.
Do you?
And on the back, it
Yeah.
has all of the infractions written out in pen.
From the time I was 16.
Yeah, from the time that
Yeah.
you were 16, they're all written out in pen. Revoked.
Revoked.
Suspended.
I have been arrested so many freaking times. I would say, oh God, 25?
Oh, I don't even want to
20,
talk about it.
25?
Let's not discuss it, okay? Let's not discuss it. Everybody's laughing.
It is what it is.
It's funny. Be careful, UT and UK. That police incident in Memphis is bound to cause some mayhem in the near future. Watch out. I don't think so.
Ain't gonna happen.
No.
We don't have
No.
any problem here.
No, it's not going to happen. No, not 25.
What, how many times have I been arrested?
Yeah, not that many.
Well, I remember them doing a printout on me once.
No, it's just from your infractions, your driving infractions.
Okay,
You're
well,
not a good driver,
they did a printout
but you're a very
on me
good
once.
driver.
I'm a great driver. I just never really cared. You know what I mean? It's like, does it even have a plate on it? I don't know.
I want to say that I was always, well, besides the fact that I was probably crazy, I was always very comfortable with you driving,
Yeah.
like a maniac, but I would never feel that comfortable with anybody else in the car. I was
Well-
always confident in your driving skills.
I have never lost it.
No.
I have never lost it. No, I shouldn't.
I don't
say.
think
I've
we've-
lost it a time or two.
Well, the time you hit the pole,
Which pole?
racing my father.
Oh,
when
yeah,
You hit the
yeah,
pole
yeah.
with the Roadrunner. But that was like the only time, and that's just because the ass swung out.
But they did a printout on me. This is like, when they were still using paper and stuff like that. And I remember, like
They were still using paper.
They kept going and going and going, and they hit the floor. It was still.
These are all your driving infractions.
Yeah, it was all driving infractions. The paper came out of the thing and it hit the floor, and then it started piling up like this on the floor.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
Oh, you had
This
to
is
be
really
there.
bad, really bad. I hope no kids are watching.
No, you know what? Listen, some kids are going to do that, right? Some
Be a
kids are gonna
punk.
do
We were
that.
punks.
Listen, I tell you what, right? Two things. He who dies with the best stories wins. Period. The end. People are like, well, he who dies with the most toys wins. No, he who dies with the most toys is just a hoarder. That's all he is. Okay, just a freaking hoarder. It's he who dies with the best stories wins. And I got stories after stories after stories.
Bob DiMartino says, "Can you say hi to me? I just want to feel special."
Yes, Bob DiMartino, my special viewer, Bob DiMartino.
Hello, Bob.
Bob, how are you, brother, man?
Joe K sent you $2.
Thank you, Joe.
Tony, your opinion on two-stroke Saab?
I never drove one, but I've heard about them. I don't think that was a viable thing for our environment here in the States.
Don't tell me you're getting a divorce. Are we getting divorced? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. Wait. That's news to me.
We've had fights, like brawls, like, you know what I mean, like that's, like okay, where you're gonna get a divorce, and I'm like, most people are like, I'm gonna get my lawyer, and I'm like, just take everything. I don't care. Just take whatever you want.
I don't want anything. Hemihead says, Tony, your opinion on V8 powered motorcycles. Ever drive one?
I've never driven one. I don't know. I like motorcycle-powered motorcycles. I mean,
Did you say you like motorcycle-powered
I like
motorcycles?
motorcycle. Yeah, instead of car-powered
Oh,
motorcycles.
okay.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, yeah. If you want to do rolling burnouts at 40 miles an hour, yeah, it's a great thing. But I mean, you kind of lose all of the aspects of a motorcycle that make a motorcycle what it is.
Peter Kovac says Tony's story time is pure UTG gold. Oh.
So he who dies with the most stories wins. And if you really want to succeed at life, don't care. Right? You have to come from the ultimate mountaintop of I just don't care. Where you just you know what I mean? You have to have you have to have a moral compass that says, no, that's a wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? Like stealing or taking advantage of somebody's ignorance or something like that. That's wrong. And you need to have that moral compass that keeps you from doing things that it would be like, let's say, evil. Okay? Because there's a difference between evil and wrong.
Well, we
you know?
did bad car stuff, but we were
I
good
did tons of
kids.
bad
We
car
were
stuff.
very good kids.
Yeah, but I
We would
would
always help people. We would
yeah.
always try and do the right thing. UTG Life in New York Chronicles, next on Geraldo.
It was bad. It was bad.
Doug Gronhoff sent you $2. Have you ever done any rat rods, Tony?
No, we talked about that, I think, on the last live. I don't have, like, I'm OCD about cars in this respect, right? Nothing I own is perfect, and I don't want it to be perfect. But to me, the whole thing with the car is to always be improving it, right? Even if it's just small things, you know what I mean? Like yesterday, because we're getting on the 25th, March 25th, the track opens, and we're going to take Plan Z out. So I was looking over the car the other night, and I was like, yeah, that fuel line, that's sloppy. I don't like the way that's run. And I spent like, I don't know, an hour trying to figure out how to make it exactly how I wanted it to be. And it's an improvement. It's a stupid improvement. It didn't cost me any money. But now when I look at it, I'm looking at it right now, I'm like satisfied. I'm like, oh, okay, this is nice. This runs the way it's supposed to. So the point I'm trying to make is, for me, the whole thing with the car is to always be making little improvements, making it a little bit better. And a rat rod, you don't do that. Like you make it a little worse, maybe make the rust hole a little bigger, shoot some holes in it, and I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't. Do you remember when I shut the speakers over here?
Let's not discuss that. Let's not discuss that. We cannot share everything. Some things need to be kept.
No, that's okay.
No, just no.
Why? No, you see now. All right, fine. I won't tell it. What's on your face? So it's priceless.
Franca says stories. I grew up with the Cassidy brothers.
There you go. You know, man. You know.
Let's see. Hoons. Let's see. Okay, hi, me again with the Pontiac camshaft questions.
Yes.
QMRK. There is a lot of caked on oil crust on the bearings, and the engine had been sitting for 30 years before I got my hands on it. Could that heat warp it?
Probably not, bro. I'm without X-ray vision, without actually being able to see this thing with my own eyes. I told you everything I could think of on that.
Let's see. What are you two smoking tonight? Nothing.
No. I'm about as straight edge as you could
Yeah,
possibly
we
get.
don't do that.
I had like 2 beers on Christmas Eve. That's it. That's all. I think it's the only beer I consumed all year. And I don't smoke dope or anything like that.
Me neither. This is how we are. We're too happy, Tony. We're too naturally happy.
Probably.
It's why people hate us. QMRK says, okay, thanks. You two are hilarious. Are we hilarious?
Yes.
I don't know. Either that or annoying. Only bad thing about a live from the shop is no chance of a DeSoto appearance. You know, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm really good. And no barking dogs.
Yeah, he's driving me crazy.
But we have birds that come in and out of here.
Yeah. Are they
I
get
haven't,
out okay?
yeah, I haven't seen them the last day or two. But there's usually birds flying around here. I guess they have their little way in and out.
Let's see. Is the welder revived battery still working?
I gave that to John Wilburn about a year ago. No, it wasn't even a year ago. It was, we did the video January 1st, and he was here sometime in April, and I had been using it every day. It was fine. And then he needed a battery, so I said, here, take this one. So as far as I know, it's still running. You got to ask John Wilburn.
Do you have a lot of people's cars to work on?
No, I don't do work on anybody's cars.
Yeah. It says my shop has wildlife visitors when I have the doors open. Yeah. Is John Wilburn related to Tim Wilburn with the Mopar collection?
No.
Will's Garage. Tony, can you mix nitro with methanol in a 13.5 406 SBC if any gains in jetting?
No, don't even bother trying to do it through a carburetor. No good. Fuel injected, yeah. Well, obviously you can mix nitro and alcohol, methanol. They go together. You can run a gasoline-based combination. And, gasoline and alcohol don't mix. You can run an alcohol combination, so an alcohol tune-up, with as much as like 8 to 10%, and you're good. Once you go past that, then you have to really start fattening it up. And once you get to about 40%, 50%, now it's a nitro tune-up, and so it's tough.
Oh, here's a good one. Oh, what's up, Fubar?
Fubar.
Andy Strobel says, if you had unlimited money, what would you build? What would you build?
I don't let money dictate what I do.
Right.
I never have. I never have. I mean, I built a blown nitro car when I was like 29 or 28, 29. We had no money,
Right.
you know. But so I've never let money dictate what I build or what I have. I do things because I find a challenge in them. You know, if I decided I'm going to build like a slant, the only reason, no, I shouldn't say the only reason. I like slant sixes because they're charming, right? But the only appeal that they have to me is that they're a challenge, that they're not easy. They're not supposed to go fast. They have so many handicaps going against them. And to me, that's the appeal. So I have no interest in like high horsepower just for the sake of high horsepower. I've done that. I've had that. Been there, done it, got the t-shirt. Now I enjoy the challenge. Can I make this thing that is not supposed to work? You know, and can I do it with a minimum of parts? And I've always been like that. I like to work with minimums. So my Mustang was a perfect example of that. I was driven. So let's go back to like the 1980s, right? I had two other guys. There was Neil Van Opry with his Mustang. We worked together at the same magazine. And it was Steve Collison, who was the editor of Superstock magazine. And he had a car called Mean Mr. Mustang. And I had my Mustang. So Steve had a direct line to Ford. Like anything they came out with this car, direct line. He got it. Whatever it is that they happen to be. And I remember this is 1987. Nobody was messing around with these fuel injected cars yet. Everything was still old carburetor, and this is the Wild West. There were no tuners. There was no, there was nothing like that. And the parts, the aftermarket parts, were just being developed for that injected 5-liter. Steve had a direct line to anything that Ford had, and Neil, on the other hand, he worked with me at Cars Illustrated, but he was buying aftermarket stuff. He had the catalytic converter delete. He had the small pulley, the AC. Delete bells, and all of these. He put gears in the car, all different things. And my motivation with my car was to beat those cars using just stock parts. So when my car I got to the 1340s with that car before either of those guys did. And that was my motivation. It was the fact that, look, I'm going to do this with no parts. I'm not going to add, I'm only going to, I took the sway bars off the car, but my car had catalytic converters. When I ran back-to-back 1343s at 101 miles an hour with the Gatorbacks. They had slicks, they had all kinds of shit, but I beat them to the 1340s with essentially a completely stock car, and it drove them crazy. That's the kind of stuff I get into. I love that.
You like to drive people crazy.
I love to drive people crazy. I live for that. I live for that.
It's unique. Doug Gronoff sent you $2.
Thank you.
Why have not seen any Dodge Polara built up? My dad had a white one, 2-door with a red interior, 3 awesome car.
They're great cars, but they're C-bodies. They're really heavy. I had a 68 Fury that I scaled. It was 4,400 pounds. This thing didn't even have AC. It was just a regular 68 Fury. So that's the problem with those cars. They're just really heavy. And back then, you didn't have the easy horsepower like you have today. See, if you go back to the day that people were screwing around with these cars, blowers were out of limits. Turbochargers were science fiction. Nitrous oxide was like in its infancy. So all you had was the kind of power that you could make just with cam, intake, headers, carb, all of the standard bolt-on stuff. So people shied away from anything that weighed over like 3,500 pounds, 3,800 pounds like that. If it was heavier than that, it's going to be a stone. You're not going to be able to get it to go anywhere. Today is a different story. If today you had the easy power adders, nitrous, turbochargers, superchargers, all of the Hellcat crate engines or whatever, C-bodies would have been really popular because they were very comfortable cars. They were beautiful cars. They were strong cars. So they would have been much more popular. But that's the reason why you don't see Polaras and Newports and Furies and stuff being worked with.
Toast says,
Yes, Toast.
oh, Tony, dude, come on into the world of Mopar 3.9 liter V6. Barely any aftermarket. I've heard legends of making 400 horsepower out of these things by doing crazy mods. You'd love it, man.
I tell you what, man. Anything you can do to a 318 or a 340, you can do to the V6, right? But my only experience with those things has been in regular, vehicles. I've owned a couple of them, and I've had customers that have them. They're slugs. You'd say, well, okay, you took 2 cylinders off a 318, right? But they're worse than that. They're worse than that, and I don't know why it is. And the fuel mileage is absurd. You're lucky you get 12 miles to the gallon, 11, 12 miles to the gallon, one of those things. I do not know why. But yeah, I never had a good experience with those V6s.
So it was a heavy car, the Polara?
Yes.
You rolling a cigarette?
I'm rolling a cigarette.
Okay, I'm going to look over here. Okay. Caleb Parker says the modern Mopar muscle cars are in the 4,000 plus pound range. Crazy how technology has outperformed physics.
Yes. Well, that's true. It is a different world that we're in today, for sure. But those cars don't have the character.
Or maybe they do to a younger generation, right? The same way that we thought that these cars had character. You know what I mean?
No, it's apples and oranges. You can't really compare the
Joe
two.
Case says they have character compared to EVs. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that people think that the newer Mopars have character. We just don't because we're old and biased.
As time went on and people I knew and friends would buy those Challengers, I take them for a blast and they just don't do anything for me.
You don't like them because they're fat.
They're fat.
Yeah, I think if they were skinnier, you might like it.
They're too refined. I don't like refined things. I
Yeah.
like raw. I like crude. It's just me.
Well, you like bare bones stuff.
I like bare bone stuff.
That I think that more than crude. You like bare bones.
Well, I do like crude. I do like crude.
Too smooth, Pirate Greg says. Are they too smooth?
Yeah, there's no sensation of the machine there. It's just,
They did a good job selling them and promoting them, though.
I'm not
People
knocking
have
them.
them.
I'm not knocking them. People like them. I don't like them. They're just not for me.
I know. William Kavanaugh says the new challenges are too common. They're everywhere.
They are.
Joe K says, I wish the new Challenger Demon came completely gutted, like not even carpet or headliner.
I'd have one.
I thought that they were making like a body in white, weren't they?
Yeah, but a body in white, you got to build your whole car. I mean, that's great if you want to build a whole new car.
Uncle Tony, you are Tarzan?
What?
Tarzan?
Tarzan?
Uncle Tony needs a body in white roller so he could put a slant six in it.
Let me tell you, that day is coming. That day is coming.
Is it?
Yeah, not for me necessarily. That day in the car culture is coming.
Yeah.
Where people are going to be retrofitting. I was just watching, literally, I was waiting for Kathy to come home so we can come here and do this, and I was watching a very popular YouTuber, a very popular automotive personality with a YouTube channel, and they were going through all of these gymnastics with a tuner and a Holly injected engine, and I'm like, wow, just why would anybody want to go through so much agita? You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so complicated. And then you have to farm it out to have somebody who knows what they're doing fix it. I mean, the whole point to me, the whole point of being a mechanic, of being a car guy, is to be the master of your machinery. You know what I mean? To make your machinery do what you want it to do, right? As soon as you put something together that you can't actually tune or understand, you're no longer like a hot rodder. You've let go of that key element of control over your machine, over your domain. I just don't get it.
But
I
isn't
don't
that the new
understand it.
culture, like self-driving cars? Like you've lost complete control over everything that you use?
Well, you know what? To me, it's not even the driving part. A self-driving car, to me, I mean, I don't particularly want one, but I could care less. I've said it 1,000 times. I would be perfectly fine if they outlawed driving of cars down a drag strip and you had to do it remote control. And I'd be like, I'm all in, let's go. Because to me, it's not the driving part of it, it's the mechanical challenge of it. But to take the mechanical part away, now that's the heart and soul of what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's different, right?
Everybody is different, and I'm not saying that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying from my perspective. You know, it's when you have a piece of equipment that you can't do everything yourself, it's not really yours. You know what I mean? You don't have control over it.
Oh, I agree. Hot rodding used to be do it yourself.
Exactly.
So true, Tony. I love the obvious. Old vehicles are just easy to work on. There's just something about a vehicle built pre-1982. Tony, do you have an exciting story of blowing up one of your motors?
Bro, I've blown up so much shit. We used to joke around that as long as we're out there, drag strips will never rust. You know, this was back when I was like with Lagana and all of them. I've told a few of those stories over the years. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I've lost some really spectacular engines.
David Uglum says, Tony, living in California, you can't find a place to drive anything with enough horsepower to get wild. I see these cars sitting in traffic bumper to bumper, revving their engines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you live in California. I mean, California is just, I mean, yeah, you're talking about the cities. Yeah, it's a nightmare, but California is 95% like uninhabited, beautiful, just, it's a paradise.
Lynn Running Deer says they don't want others tinkering in their future. They don't want people to tinker, to learn how to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be a position some have taken. Los Cadaver, I don't like cars pre-74. They get ugly and boxy until the 90s.
Pre-74?
That's what he said. Might be a typo.
Yeah. I think he means post-74.
Yeah. A guy on Fabo thought just like you. His username was White Bunk on Nitro.
Yeah, gee, I wonder
Remember
who
that
that
guy?
could be.
Did you ever hear of that person?
I heard he was shot and killed in a bar in Queens.
Yeah, I think he ripped a lot of people off, I've
Oh, he
heard.
ripped everybody off. Ripped everybody off. What a thief.
318 will run. We'll probably get a kick out of that.
He's a good guy.
Let's see. Tony, have you checked out the Wasteland Vehicle Movement? Some cool vids here on YouTube.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Wasteland vehicle?
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
Zero's laughing.
At what?
I guess.
The way Punk on Nitro?
Yeah,
thing?
way punk on Nitro. Zero says everyone hates that guy. They sure do. I've been on there.
Please.
I'm Agent 99, by the way.
Yeah, for the record, White Punk on Nitro was my sales name for Anybody's Only. Favorite.
Yeah.
So I sold parts on that site for 10 years. And if you go and you look at my ratings, you'll see I'm like a top rated seller.
But they don't like us there.
Right, but according to the crowd of locals, I was like the worst thing that ever happened. They hated me because I outsold them.
Yeah. What gears are in your 73 Roadrunner?
Three 327s or 355. I don't know. They're either 327s or 355s. It's been so long, I don't remember.
Danny Boyd's calling you a butcher.
321s. They're 321s.
321.
Yes, 321s.
Danny Boyd says, you're parting out good cars.
God. I never parted out a good car. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. There's one of them that haunts me to this day. It was a 68 Barracuda. I paid like $600 for this car. It was a Barracuda notch. And it had every bit of everything, every option you could possibly have on this car, it had. And I parted that one out. And I shouldn't have parted that car out. That one sticks out to me as something that I should have done what I could to save. But I would buy cars that, for whatever reason, they were kinked, they were crunched, they were completely undesirable, because you take like a four-door car that's going to get scrapped. The whole car, all of its bits and pieces are going to go and they're going to get scrapped. Well, 80% of that car translates directly to a two-door car. So, I parted, how many cars do you figure I parted during the time we were doing Fable?
A few.
Yeah, probably 40. Parted about 40 cars.
Mopar Man 78 says, I'm dazed and confused on Fabo. That's his name, Dazed and Confused.
Okay. Give him my love.
Give them
my love.
UTG's love.
Oh man, I
Love
jumped in.
from
I saw
White
some
Punk
of
on
those
Nitro.
comments. Oh my God. There were threads about me. They just keep posting threads about me.
I know. I get notifications in my email
Still?
for Fabo. They're like, there's a new thread on Fabo. Maybe you should go look at it. Come check out Fabo. And I'm like, yeah, right away. That's really where I want to spend my morning, having my coffee. Reading about how much everybody hates us. Let's see. Mexican Spec says, I sell parts now on Fabo. Nice.
Nice.
Good luck with that.
Now keep in mind, until I started doing YouTube, I was Sable royalty. You know, I never had any problems with anybody else.
Well, don't say you're Fabo royalty. Now they're going to say, he's on there saying he's Fabo royalty. We're Fabo royalty, not him.
What I mean by that, okay, I have to clarify myself.
Fabo is a website for
For
A-bodies
A-bodies only.
only.
I have to clarify that. When I say that I was royalty, what I mean is that everybody who was a regular on that site knew exactly who I was and what I sold and what I did, right? So that's what I mean. I don't mean it like...
Sarah says this guy thinks he's a king crown.
Everybody knew who I was. And I was popular. You know, there was no problems. As soon as I started doing YouTube, boom, they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, you're very much hated.
That guy sucks. He turned me into a newt.
Billy Bob Holcomb says, Tony, you save many cars by selling parts. There is no better parts than the factory correct parts. Repops are not always that great.
That's true.
That is true. Thank you. Billy Bob.
But for anybody who's curious about my true status on Fabo, go to Fabo, search White Punk on Nitro, and look at my feedback from the customers.
There was like two guys,
Yeah.
but one mostly in particular.
Yeah, who claimed I sold him a bad bumper.
Right.
That the chrome wasn't whatever it happened to be. But if you go
What
to
about
this,
the Distributeo guy?
yeah, and the distributor
Yeah.
who literally emailed us in drunk. You know how somebody, like when they slur their speech, they're drunk, and they slur their speech, and they mix up words.
I
and
do
everything.
that when I'm tired, though.
Well, this guy literally wrote us in slurred speech and misspelled words.
Yelling.
The distributor is junk. You saw me a bad distributor.
Okay, 318 Will Run says, White Punk on Nitro sold me a rally rim and ripped me off. I should have
See?
bought from Tony.
Oh, God.
We have too much fun.
But I got literally, there's thousands of feedbacks on there, all positive with 2 negative ones.
Mario Hernandez says, thank you, my man. You helped me understand how to assemble engines.
Thank you. That's our mission here. That is our goal. Is to help take the mystery out of this stuff and help make it easier for people to do the things that they want to do with cars.
Distributeo sounds exotic.
No lie. No lie. That was how he spelled it. It was a distributeo. He wrote to us in drunk.
Drunk.
Am I making this up?
No. I mean, it happens.
We were crying hysterically reading this guy's emails.
You kind of think everything is funny, right? Ugh. Let's see. Joe Brennan says, Tony must have been the guy that sold me a blemished bumper. Unsubscribed.
Yeah.
That
No.
was you?
No lie. It was like a 68 Dart bumper, right? And if I remember correctly, it was like a 68 Dart bumper. And I sent the guy
Wait,
pictures.
no, I thought it was the vendor that we sold. The one guy, he wanted a 69 or a 68 and vice versa.
We took those back.
We did take those
Yeah,
back,
I
but
took
he
those
did
back.
complain.
I ate the shipping on that both ways. Please. But at any rate, no, the one guy I sold him like a 68 Dart bumper, and I sent him all of the pictures he wanted of it from
Right.
every angle and every light. And when he got it, on the where it kind of tucks under next to the license plate, there was like some. It just wasn't perfect. It's the only way I can describe it. It just wasn't perfect. And I sold it to him for like $80, whatever the hell it was. It was cheap. And he made this federal case over it. You can't please everybody.
No. I mean, really, why should you?
No. Which is the same thing doing YouTube videos. We'll do a YouTube video on whatever thing that we happen to be doing, and there'll be like 900 people that'll be like, "That's awesome, thank you, I learned from that, that's great, I never thought of it that
We
way before."
appreciate it so much.
We appreciate that, we appreciate it, just learning, and then you go, "You did it wrong. That's not the way you do it." All right.
That's not even that bad, though, considering
Oh,
some of the
no.
ones that we've done,
Yeah.
which I've saved for a video, whenever you want to do it. I save all the juicy comments. Let's see. Distributeo, yes. Thank you, Uncle Tony, for not doing LS swaps. Old school stuff is the way to go.
I love LSs. I said, I used to go to LS Fest every year because I love the environment. I love the enthusiasm. I love how creative these people are with these engines. I think it's fantastic. I stopped going once I started becoming known on YouTube because I just don't like to go places where people know me. But and it's just me, man. It's just the way I am.
Nut job.
I haven't gone the last 2 years because I just don't like to go where people know me. But I used to, LS Fest was an event that I never missed it. I thought it was great.
Mike Brunello says, Tony, I keep having problems with my points only lasting 2 months, sometimes only 2 weeks. Distributor is new, everything looks fine.
Well, what's going wrong with them? Is it the rubbing block or is it the contacts?
Danny Boyd says, get a disguise. By
Yeah,
your
I'm gonna
nose
get
and
the mustache and the glasses.
But you have that already. You
Yeah,
got
that's
those
true.
glasses.
Yeah, here. I'm wearing my disguise.
Yeah. Where's the black
The
ones?
big nose. No.
You know, you don't have a big nose. You have a nice nose, actually. We need a video full of UTG hate comments. Laugh out loud.
But it's coming. It's coming.
What do I Google? Fabo? It's for abodiesonly.com.
Yeah.
FORABODIESONLY.com. Just put in UTG or White Punk on Nitro or Uncle Tony's Garage. You can read all of the fun. Let's see. It's so personal.
They're triggered.
Yeah,
They're
personal
triggered.
attacks. Really ugly.
As soon, see, that's the thing. You
So
guys,
personal.
I know a lot of people watching this want to do YouTube. And it's cool to want to do YouTube. But I'm telling you, be ready because it brings out the worst in people. It brings out the worst in everybody you come across. It's great, well, not everybody you come across. It brings out the worst in people. People will be triggered by your existence. I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it to you.
Let's see. 426 Hemi says people are still asking you for parts on Fabo.
They might be.
Let's see. Just get a shirt that says "I'm not Uncle Tony." You will be good. That's brilliant.
That's advanced thought.
You can do that. Are we gonna get any more motorcycle content?
Oh God, I just almost bought one today. The guy, let me see if he messaged me back.
UTG shirt, White Punk on Nitro with punk skull and crossbone wrenches.
No, I guess he sold it.
Yeah, sold to somebody else.
So I was having coffee this morning and going through Marketplace, and I'm not looking for any bikes. In fact, I'm trying to sell the 61 Sports. That bike is just going to sit forever. So I got my friend Ron is selling that for me. But anyway, make a long story short, I don't want to buy any more bikes. I have projects here that I need to work on. But I'm going through Marketplace this morning, and there's a 79 XS 650 Yamaha, right? For $200. And I'm looking at the pictures of it, and it's intact. It's all there. It's been sitting in a barn. And I messaged the guy back, and I says, sold. I'll take it. And it took a while for him to get back to me. He got back to me, and he says, well, I think I sold it. I think I listed it too cheap. I got too many people messaging me about it. And I says, well, everybody's going to take a speculation on a $200 motorcycle. It's like, why not, right? So, but I guess somebody offered him more than that, and he took that offer. But I needed that bike because that's the very first bike I ever crashed. It was a twin to the first bike I ever crashed. And I was like, I got to have that. For $200, yeah, I'll go grab that and dollar it out. And those are great bikes. I sold a bunch of Yamaha XS 650 stuff to Indian Larry back in like 97, 98, something like that. Because I had bought went to a guy's garage to buy a bike, and he had all of this XS 650 stuff, engines and frames and everything else, and I piled it all up, and then ended up selling it to Indian Larry.
The UTG shirt, make points great again. Let's see. South Jersey Gym, Warrant Distributeos, the first ignition systems used in Fiat.
Yes.
Haven't seen Dallas. What's up with him?
He's doing his thing.
Yeah. How many episodes do you expect the Jeep motor build to last? Great fun to watch.
I was going to do the head today,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. I ended up screwing around with the 361.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'll tell you what. Just finding all of the right bolts, cleaning the bolts, making things so and so. I got occupied. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. This morning, it was early, right? And I'm like, okay, I gotta get that head ready because we're gonna shoot the next video is gonna be about the cylinder head and inspecting it and how to check the guides and where to look for cracks and so on and so forth. And I says, I better get that head at least partially apart so that we can shoot, a quick video tomorrow. And I ended up getting lost on that thing. And I was like, and as I'm working on it, I'm like, you know what? I'm allowed to just have fun every once in a while. I need to allow myself to just
It's
enjoy
true,
myself.
Yeah, you've been.
And so that's what I
making so
did.
much content.
I just played around with that thing, and I got all of it, you know, and
Did you have a good day?
I enjoyed myself.
Good.
And I didn't make any content out of it.
It's fine.
Because I don't want to make content out of it, because I'm just trying to enjoy
But
myself.
you know what? When you do stuff like that, put the GoPro on your head and don't say anything.
It takes,
And
no,
just
it
work,
takes,
and I'll edit it. I'll edit it.
no,
No?
it takes the fun out of it.
Okay.
It
I
takes the fun
understand.
out of it. I just wanted to be alone
I
with
know.
a project that I was just doing for myself.
I know. It's like, leave me alone.
Seriously.
This is the YouTube introvert channel. David Uglum says, Tony, I'm 72 and had a great time growing up with old hot rods, me and my friends. Think about the younger guys that will never get to do what we got to do.
They're out there, man. They're out there, and they're having their version of
different.
what we did. It's the same, but it's different. You know. Yeah, I mean, there are certain smells and feelings and things that they'll never experience, but then they have their own culture.
Raining Slant 6 with a chance of cannibals. Tony, I loved your legend compared Mighty Mopar inline history vid. I almost
Thank
got
you.
the feeling you made the vid with me in mind. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I love inlines. I love the simplicity of inlines.
Hey, I crashed one of those. Let's buy it. That's what I said to him this morning when he told me.
You never forget your first motorcycle crash.
I'm like, can you want that again? He's like, yeah.
You never forget your first one. Like I had dropped bikes before that, and I had like fallen over doing dumb things before that. But that was the first bike that I was like actually moving along and lost it and crashed. Right. So it's like you just never forget that. It just sticks in your head. You know, I remember it like it's happening right now. So I have an attachment to that bike.
Honus Wagner says, you're the coolest, Uncle Tony.
Thank you.
Love your channel, and you guys should feel proud at how much happiness and knowledge you've provided to us in YouTube land.
I appreciate that so much.
Oh, it's nice.
Thank you.
Benjamin C. says, Tony can't film himself wrenching. That will show him sitting back in his rocking chair while he pays the Power Nation guys to
Right.
do his work.
Right, exactly. That's my dirty secret. I have the Power Nation guys come in on their off hours, and
Right.
I pay them to do all of this stuff.
Did you finish the ultimate UTG mile per gallon build? No, it didn't start
No,
that
we
yet.
haven't even started it. I'm waiting.
Waiting for gas to go up.
Right. Doing a gas mileage build right now is completely pointless. I have to wait until it's in the public consciousness that gas prices are crazy, and then we'll get views.
Right. Let's see. You have to do things when people are interested in
Right,
it. Yeah.
exactly. You got to stay topical.
Right. My first bike was an inline 4-cylinder with no brakes for the wooden slot tracks. Nice. My first chopper was an XS650. I was 16.
They were great choppers. I tell you, Yamaha hit it out of the park with those things.
Is Freiberger really Tony's son? No. No. Let's see. Jay Leno just had a motorcycle crash.
I know. He's having a rough year this year.
Yeah.
You know? He's having a rough year. I heard he's up and about. He's got his arm in a sling and all of that. But yeah, he gets his face almost burned off with one car, and then he rides on a motorcycle. Well, and I've had years like that. Like, I'm not laughing at Jay Leno. I've been there. I've done it. Got that T-shirt. So I know what it's all about. So, you know, that's the thing, man. You play with machinery. You play with machinery. It doesn't matter, you know, how much money you have or how little money, how much experience, how little experience. It doesn't make a difference. You play with machinery. It's just like taunting the bull. All of this stuff is always trying to kill you in one way or another. It's trying to fall on you. It's trying to drop on your head. It's trying to burn you up. It's trying to run you over. It's trying to, and it's like you taunt the bull, you get the horns. And you know, Jay Leno got it twice this year. I feel bad for the guy, but we've all been there. Maybe 2023 is my turn to get my face burned off and crashing on the motorcycle.
Hope not.
But it happens.
South Jersey Jim says, Uncle Tony, you ever give a pipe a try? You can get a solid 15 minutes out of a bowl. You won't have to roll one every 5 seconds.
She bought a pipe to use as a prop. I haven't used it. I'm not really inclined to use it. But I'm game to give it a try. Smoky Unit
You have
smoked the pipe.
smoked a pipe before. You had one.
I did for a little while.
For a little while.
Like 35
Yeah,
years
a long
ago.
time ago.
Yeah.
Smoky Ram 3 says, "What's up, Tony?"
What's happening, man?
Let's see.
That's right. Remember, I had my Smoky Unit cat. I had my Smoky Unit cat, and I had the pipe because I was trying to channel
Smoky Unit.
Smoky Unit.
But I think you had that hat before I met you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have it while we were dating?
I was probably wearing it.
No, I don't. I think something happened to it.
I had it at the gas station.
You did?
Sure. By that time, it was destroyed.
I must have just seen like the last bit of it because I really don't remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had it before I met you.
Smoky Unicat. Tony says start vaping. No, he's not.
No, I'm good.
No.
I haven't had my period yet.
What? What?
Vaping.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh yeah, you could see UT with a fanboy vape, right? Yeah. It's great to have you and your save it without spending the bank style.
I'm having fun. I'm having fun with all of this stuff. I enjoy it. I wouldn't be, there's nothing I
I think
do.
it's challenging to do things on the cheap.
Of course it
It's
is.
fun. It's like a test. It's like, what can I do with
There's,
nothing?
there's a concept, there's a psychological concept, right, of winning by losing, if that makes any sense, okay? So just for example, let's just say you come across somebody who's got a Lambo for whatever, or something like, somebody's got a really highfalutin crazy car. And you have an old station wagon or a van or just something that's completely you got a Jeep Cherokee, whatever it happens to be, okay? And it's hot rodded, but it's that sleeper sort of thing. So the Lambo guy doesn't know what you've got. Well, you're going to race, and a Lambo is going to beat you to the other end. And you know that. But if you hang with him, just hang there and give him that sweat, you know what I mean? Is this thing going to pass me? You won that race. Even though he got to the other end first, even though he crossed the stripe first, you won that race because you got in his head. And you know you got in his head. And it's fun. You know what I'm saying? That to me, that's a lot of fun. Because I've been on that other side of the fence too, where I was in a fast car, which should be a fast car, and you have this thing that shouldn't, you know what I mean? And it's hanging with you, and you're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Why isn't this thing, 800 feet behind me? So it's like, it's all part of the fun of screwing around with cars.
I'm more like a, let's see, lose for losing guy, laugh out loud. Huh. Any G-Buddy bills in the past?
I had that one Monty I built that 383 Chevy motor for. That black Monty. You remember that one? Do you remember that one? I got the flat tire in Brooklyn.
Flat tire in Brooklyn. Where in Brooklyn?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, with Aunt Millie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
So this is it's a black. I want to say it was like 85, 86, 87 Monty, right? I love those cars.
It couldn't have been. That would have been too new at the time.
It was after we got rid of the SS.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No. This is before we had kids. When you got the flat with Aunt Millie in the car?
You're wrong. The kids were in the car.
No.
Yeah, it was you, me, Aunt Millie, and the kids. And my grandmother. And my grandmother. Because the car was full of people. And my grandfather had
A
his
heart attack.
50th heart
Right?
attack.
He was in the hospital.
My grandfather, that was his hobby.
It's not funny.
This
It's
is-
really not funny.
This is no lie, right? This is no lie. He'd be sitting in a chair, drinking his cognac, and my grandmother would like say something to trigger him, right? She'd be like, Johnny, whatever she would do, she would just like go off on him, and he would like, he'd go. If I'm making this up,
No.
I'm making this up. And you say, Pop, you were right. They had a heart attack. He punching himself in the chest.
He would take his pill. He'd take his pill.
His nitroglycerin pill.
out of his pocket. His shirt pocket.
He was my grandfather was a badass.
Yeah.
My grandfather fought Jake LaMotta. He lost to Jake LaMotta, but he fought Jake LaMotta.
He was a boxer.
He managed Rocky Graziano, and then he basically ran the docks in Brooklyn for a few years. He was good. My grandfather wanted to set up a bar in his house downstairs, so he hijacked a container. The statute of limitations is way over on this, right?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I'm
trust me,
not
this happened in the
thinking it might not
50s.
be.
Or the early 60s.
Doesn't matter.
He hijacked a container that was going to the Museum of Natural History that was filled with all of these African artifacts. And
Okay.
He decorated his...
I think there's no statute of limitations on that.
He's dead. What are they going to do?
I don't know.
They're going to chase him down in the afterlife? Come on. So he hijacks a container, a whole container with African artifacts that were going to the Museum of Natural History.
No,
And
the
he-
Brooklyn Museum.
The Brooklyn, no.
One of them.
It was
I
the
thought it was the
Museum of
Brooklyn
Natural History.
Museum.
And he decorated the bar in his house downstairs with all of this stuff. It was exotic. I mean, it was crazy. And it was shields and zebra things and drums and spears everywhere, right?
Okay.
So,
So what's the story? You're talking about the... Imagine what we don't tell you.
oh, please, yeah.
Imagine what we don't say.
So he was having heart attacks all the time. It was just his thing.
So he was in the hospital.
He lived to be 90, and he
He
was
was
a
in
bull
his
to the day
90s,
he
yeah.
died, right? So he's in the hospital. So I had this black 85 or so-ish Monte Carlo. And I built a 383 stroker.
There's
for
no
it.
statute of limitations on stolen art.
He's freaking dead. He's dead. He's been dead for 30 years. 20 years.
20 years, probably.
He died, 20,
Yeah.
he died in 2000. So he's in the hospital. And I had this black Monte Carlo. It wasn't an SS. We had a Monte SS, but this wasn't it. So I built a 383 stroker for it. It ran good. It was okay. It was not to get crazy about. And that was my driver. That was my transportation. I had a Roadrunner that was my other like normal driver, but we took the Monte this time. So we went to visit my grandfather in the hospital, and I had my grandmother, his wife, my two kids, which were babies,
Yeah, they're young.
Kathy, and my Aunt Millie, all stuffed in this Monte Carlo. So we pull, I go to, they all go up to visit. I can't find a parking space, so I'm circling, right? And the car's feeling a little weird as I'm making turns. And I'm sitting there waiting for them to come out. And they come out, and I go to pull out of the parking space, and the left front tire is flat, right? And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So I go around to the trunk. I open the trunk. There's no spare. I didn't put a spare in the car. All right, what am I going to do? I don't care. I'm driving this thing. So I drove the car from the hospital, which, oh God, where was that hospital? But off the Gowanus it was. But I can't tell you exactly where, the exact location escapes me. And I had to drive it back to Bensonhurst to drop my grandmother off. And as I'm driving, and I'm just driving in normal traffic, right? Like I'm on the Bell Parkway. I'm just driving with this flat tire. So eventually,
Like your regular speed.
like regular speed. Because I'm pissed off. So as I'm getting off the highway, the tire comes off completely, and now it's on the rim. And I still have like 3 miles to go to get to my grandmother's house. So I just kept driving, and the rim is like scraping into the ground. And then finally the rim stopped spinning, and it just started grinding, and I kept going, right? And then I got to my grandmother's house. This was my everyday life. This is how I was literally.
But
Okay,
his
this was
grandmother
every
and
day
his
of my
aunts
freaking
are in the
life.
car, and
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah, the car was full of my family, right? So, so eventually it got to the point that it was actually grinding into the ball joint. The bottom of the rotor was completely gone. It was grinding into the lower control on the ball joint. When I got to my grandmother's house and I pulled up into the driveway, this is on Cameron Court in Brooklyn, and I go to pull into the driveway, and the driveway, like the sidewalk goes like this, and then down the driveway, and I got stuck. I got stuck. I left later, like later on that day. I left a gouge. There were miles long gouge all the way through Bensonhurst in the street.
Your family was very tolerant, though. I mean,
Well, they were used to it. That
Right.
was the kind of thing I used to do. This was my regular life. This was not an extraordinary thing. This is how I lived my life.
still do.
To an extent, I still do. Yes, to an extent, I still do.
Mexican Spec says, now I understand why your kids aren't car people. They were terrorized.
I terrorized
They were.
everything and everybody.
They were.
It
We
was-
understand why they're not car people.
I get it.
Too.
I get it. I get it.
Sparks had to be flying so high.
Sparks were flying. Asphalt. It got the whole side of the engine, the firewall, everything was like just covered with asphalt.
What did Aunt Millie say? I remember Aunt Millie was talking. Your grandmother wasn't saying much.
Yeah.
Oh,
You had to be there.
too much.
You had to be there.
You don't get this on Motor Trend.
No.
No. No. Nope. Let's see. What was Tony's grandfather's name?
John
John.
Yodis. Johnny Y was
Y-D...
Y-O-D-I-C-E.
Y-O-D-I-C-E.
Yeah.
Isn't it like Yodicha? Isn't that how you're supposed to say it?
Yodis.
Yodis. They say Yodis. A body for comfort. That's the most New York thing I've ever heard. You don't get this on roadkill. No. That's real roadkill, right?
I was roadkill before.
Yeah. Don't say that though. Uncle Gouge's garage. Yeah.
But to answer the question that led to all that, yes, I've done some G-body stuff.
G-Bodies. We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun.
You don't get this anywhere else on YouTube? No. You might get this on Neutral Drop. Probably, yeah.
I lived Neutral Drop's life.
Yeah. Sounds like a day in a small town, Alberta. That was a long answer to that question.
Yeah, sorry about that, but it jogged the memory.
Yeah. If you're not on the edge, you're not trying hard enough.
You got it.
But you know what? Like, we didn't have like any extra money to really do anything back then. Everything
No,
was
it
on
was
the
tight.
edge.
Everything was
yeah,
tight.
living in New York with kids, everything was like
Everything was
expensive and
I was doing magazines. That was very inconsistent.
lots of bills.
Lots of bills.
Oh, let's see. Gas was cheap. I should sell audio of my giggles for laugh tracks on TV for royalties. You
I
make
was-
a fortune.
I was still
Okay.
paying for John at that point.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I was still paying the hospital bill from John.
Oh, hospital bill?
That was like $11,000.
No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
So it was the hospital, the doctor, everything was like $11,000. It was like 10-9 or something like that. I remember I paid it.
No, because you had insurance for John.
I did not have insurance for John.
You had insurance for one of them.
Anthony.
I don't remember.
And that
What
still
did
cost me-
Grandma say about the ride?
I don't remember. But that was, like I said, this is just how things were.
They were kind of used to it.
They were used to it.
Like they knew. Your grandmother, when we would pull up, like she would She remember you pulled up with the Charger and she was outside and she threw holy water all over the car.
Oh, yeah.
And you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. She broke out the bottle like as soon as she saw us pull up,
Yep.
and she threw holy water all over the car, all over him, all over me.
Yeah, I had a black 69 Charger, a 446 pack, open headers,
So loud.
like 456 gears. And this is what I drove. This was just my car, right? And yeah, I pulled up in front of my grandmother's house for whatever it was, some occasion or whatever. And she came out, she saw the car, she went back in the house, she got a bottle of holy water and just started splashing it all over the car.
And us.
And I,
Too funny. But we laughed.
yeah. You know, you can't receive communion if you killed somebody.
Yeah, that was dumb of her to say.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Laugh out loud, awesome grandma, yeah. Let's see.
She put up with a lot. She was nuts.
Yeah.
She was nuts, but she put up with a lot.
So Tony's like early Ghost Rider Staten Island style.
Ghost Rider.
So, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't follow that. Did she come out like Ace Ventura? I have exorcised the demons. No, I think she was outside already. She just had it on her.
No,
like as if
no, I remember her
Are you
going in the
sure?
house. Yes.
Justin
I remember her going in the
Clendenin
house.
sent you $1.99.
Thank you.
He says, boosted 225 and a fox body.
Yeah, it's a little incompatible.
Is it?
Just a bit.
Thank you, Justin. Ghost Rider has a black Charger in recent movies. Okay, we haven't seen it. We don't know. We don't watch any movies, right?
I can't remember what.
Sounds like a typical Brooklyn lifestyle. It was very.
It was very typical, yes.
Let's see. What? Any stories about outrunning the law? we told that already.
Yeah, we went through that an hour ago.
That's normal New York Italian stuff. Yeah, very normal.
You know, that's the thing. That's the thing. People from other parts of the world or other parts of the country or whatever, with some exceptions, well, obviously with some exceptions, don't really understand what New York in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s was like. And unless you're a product, unless you came from there in that era, you can't appreciate it. And the things that I'm talking about now seem crazy and outlandish because now we live in Tennessee and it's like 30 years after the fact. But back then it was just normal life.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff was just normal life.
Yeah. 672E Galaxy says right on, Tony. Justin says, if you can do it, Uncle Tony, say that. Can you do it? The 225 in the...
In a Fox?
Yeah.
I put a 225 in a Miata. I'm sure I could do it in a Fox.
Here's a good one. Brett McIntyre wants to know, how do you take time out for vacation being the YouTube star? Vacation.
I had a day off in like 1988, I think it was, 1989, and I didn't know what to do with myself.
I am a little burned out. A
Keep
vacation
going.
would be nice.
Keep going. Don't get burned out. Keep
I'm a
going.
little tired.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Oh my goodness. He works me so hard. All right. I appreciate the New York story as I'm Chicago born and raised.
Yeah, Chicago was a lot like that.
Reminds me of the stories my dad told back when he grew up in Detroit.
Detroit was like that. Yep. Yeah, people don't understand. You know, if you come from regular, like here, we live in regular land, and everything's kind of normal, and people are normal, and I love this because, you know, that's how I grew up. I grew up with some really crazy shit. Doing, you know, and it just.
It was funny though.
You know, I tell you, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. In New York, either you're batshit crazy and you just do what you're gonna do, or you become a zombie. And really, that's what it is. And like the last couple of times that I went to New York, I noticed that really everybody is a freaking zombie. they're dead. You look, they have a death, like they're just dead in the eyes.
What?
It's
Everybody?
the truth. Think of that woman when we cleaned out your uncle's place.
Yeah, but she was all right. At first, she was like very
Paranoid.
paranoid.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but she had met my sister. That's why she was paranoid.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't blame
I
her.
wish I would make anybody paranoid.
Yeah. Let's see. Marcus says, y'all are great. Thank you for the show. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. What's up, Barry? 70s, 80s, 91, 92, New York was great.
It was. The place sucked, but the things that were happening there were really cool.
What was Christmas like in the 70s, New York?
Nice. Christmas was actually very nice. You go back to the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, New York put on a really good face for the holidays. I don't think it does it anymore. I don't think New York has a face anymore.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see. Mopa says, I'm originally from Des Moines, Iowa. It's basically a mini version of New York, multicultural. I can relate. Survived an LAX run. Nope, New York rocks a mask now. New York is ugly now, Rob's Classic says.
Yeah. It's been dead. It was dead before we even left. It was dead.
Peter Kovac says, this is one of the best Sunday Night Lives.
Thank you, Pete.
Cold War Motors sent you
What's
10
happened?
Canadian.
Oh, thank you, man.
Speaking of magazines, I remember a magazine article from the mid-'80s. I think it was called $12.99 for $12.99.
Yep, that was me.
Retired 69 Roadrunner. Was that you?
Yep, it was a 70 Roadrunner.
Yeah.
And we ended up going like, oh God, I think we went like 13-15 or 13-12 or something like that, and it scattered, tossed a rod, and then that was the end of that. But we came close enough, and that was good enough for the
We
win.
brought Anthony home in that car from the hospital.
Yeah,
And the fumes were so bad, and then that's why you bought the
that's
Mustang.
when I bought the Mustang.
Yep, because we were like, we can't drive this kid around in this car. There's just no way.
Yeah, $12.99 for $12.99.
Let's see. Remember when stores were only open 6 days a week? Things were special back then.
It's true.
Florida says hi, T1 says.
I say hi to Florida.
Cold War Motor says, love that article.
Thank you.
Ari says, that Cold War Motors, you guys are badass. Don't send your dark money to Tony.
They are bad.